reducing marketing budget is dumb. Like, it is dumb.
Google is not your friend. They are trying to spend your money. We'll be literally just lighting money on fire.
Yeah, we got like 300 hits on it in the first 30 days.
That's
and we
amazing.
sold $250,000 of shit. Today on the show, I have my good friends Sam, Preston, and Ethan Wright from Service Scalers. Welcome, guys, to the show.
Awesome.
What's going on?
Thanks, man.
This will be fun. We did an in-person with Sam last July.
Yeah.
Different setting.
Yeah, very
New
different
studio.
setting. That studio was so small.
I know. I'm pretty sure we were like touching knees the entire time.
It was cute.
It was
honestly.
intimate.
Yeah.
It
never
was
felt
intimate.
closer.
It was nice. Obviously, if you've listened to the show for any amount of time, Service Scalers has been an awesome partner to us since like 2021, which has just been amazing. But for the folks that haven't heard yet, you guys want to give a quick description of what you guys do?
Go for it, Ethan. I want to hear it.
Yeah, awesome. Service Scalers, we essentially are a home services focused digital marketing company. Our job is ultimately like match your goals and what you want out of lead generation, whether that's organic, paid, the whole 9 yards, and taking you from like idea all the way to lead, involving your website, everything like that. So we'll get into a ton of it, but leads at the end of the day is what we care about.
That's what we do. Sell leads.
At Wilson, we've saved a stupid amount of money by having AI help out with our call center. And the best tool out there that's making that happen is Avoca. So look, you've probably heard the buzz about AI CSRs. They seem to be everywhere, but not all AI CSRs are created equal. And Avoca seems to rise to the top every time. They answer every call on the first ring, they sound just like a real person, and they don't take breaks. But here's what makes Avoca really interesting in the real world. If a caller's getting heated, like they're getting frustrated or annoyed, Avoca knows. It hears the tone, emotion, and hands the call to a real human, so you can still save that call. And this has been huge for us here at Wilson. There's no more churn or people yelling representative into the phone, and the back end is tight. It directly integrates into ServiceTitan at the gold tier level. That means it can handle reschedules, check tech arrival times, and look up customer info. It even helps with capacity planning. It's basically a CSR with perfect memory. On top of all that, it consistently makes our team better. We get post-call analytics, auto tagging, and coaching tools so that no matter who's on shift, we deliver for our customers. If you're curious, go to avoca.ai, AVOCA.ai. Book a demo and tell them Owned and Operated sent you.
That's awesome. So we have a couple topics up for today, and we're going to be riffing. We're here because it's the Breaking 5 workshop.
Yes. Yep.
So that should be a lot of fun. The bigger the show has gotten, the more, for a while, a lot of our audience was people interested in buying home service companies or like just bought it or like pretty early on, like revenue wise. Mm-hmm. So like sub 5 was what we saw a ton of. What has been really interesting, and I think it's like we got more active on LinkedIn, basically, but much larger and more sophisticated operators have been popping up. So we're going to try to, as we sort of talk through this, we'll be talking about it from, I think, all levels. Like, hey, what's it look like at my level and how I think about stuff? What's it look like if I'm in my first $5 million and anything in between?
Cool.
That sounds like a fun game plan. Mm-hmm. What I think would be interesting, just because I feel like in any time in the past 5 or 6 years, you could say, man, we're at a weird period. It's volatile. It's whatever.
Yeah.
So I don't want to use those words, but hey, it's kind of weird, right? Like we've got AI, we've got Trump doing his tariff situation, potentially recession. And I've got to imagine that some of this stuff comes up. And what I've always wanted to do is I've wanted to be a spy. So I've wanted to know what are my peers thinking about today? So when they're getting on calls with you guys or some of your active clients, like what are people thinking about and what are they concerned about as they're approaching 2025?
Yeah, I think a few things, but I think one of the things you hit on the top, AI is huge. I think on two sides. One is how do we market in a world where AI is, some people say it's taking all the search and like everyone's just going to have an AI agent and next week doing all of its chores, doing all the chores for them and everything. So how do you essentially market in a world like that? And then on the other side, it's how do I, as a company, utilize AI myself to be more efficient, to make sure that, like for us, like if I do get a lead, am I responding to it quickly? Is it serviced well? How do I keep up with it? How do I, things like that. So, I mean, we could probably spend some time specifically on AI. Other things like always on the top of people's mind is like, especially for paid ads and paid leads, is like costs and kind of how to think about that. Not all leads are the same. And then even like two companies can have the same cost of lead, but their return on that is very different because of different things. And so people are constantly asking, how do I get better cost of leads? But how do I actually take advantage of a lead in general so that the more leads that come in, I actually sell more on? Kind of taking the conversation just from a lead to actually close revenue, which I think is ultimately where a lot of like sometimes marketing companies can miss is, oh, hey, we got a click. Someone looked at your website and you're like, great, but like,
where's the dollar?
Doesn't do anything for me. And so I think those are a couple of them, but probably AI is probably the number one thing that I'm hearing from our clients. And then also just on calls that we're taking.
Well, one thing you mentioned, the tariffs. Tariffs is interesting because we get so many people have different opinions on it and the ways they approach it. Like half the people are like, hey, let's pull back a little bit on our marketing budget. Because
so that's been a conversation.
Yeah. I mean, some people are legitimately trying to go find money. They're like, hey, like this is going to be an issue. I need to create a little bit, less. So like I'm going to spend a little bit less on marketing. The other half of the people are seeing that happening. Yeah. And going, well, this is the chance to spend more or market. Summer's right around the corner. Yeah. Like this is where we spend the most and people are pulling back. Let's go in it. Let's double down.
And whether it's tariffs or not too, it's like, it's always something.
It's always something.
And so that's always the question we get all the time is like, it's a slower month now. Like, should I pull my spending back and then the other side like is, oh my gosh, it's a slower month. Like this is the time I need to lean in. Yeah. Or whatever outside of your control thing is happening. It is funny because it's like there's rarely someone in the middle that's like, let's just keep steady. It's like either like I'm all right, let's push on the gas, or like, hey, do I need to conserve?
One of the most like memorable, I've always been a never turn the marketing off guy. Yeah. Now I do want to preface two things. One, like we think of lead gen marketing kind of different. Like we turn it off and on every day. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So like when I mean turn it off, I mean like modulate the amount that I'm willing to spend over a certain period of time. Yeah. Not like if I'm full for the next 5 days, I should turn my LSAs off and give them a break. Yes. Yeah. That's an important distinction. And I don't even remember my other one actually.
That's good.
Lead gen, yeah, that's probably the big one. Anytime we've ever had like an opportunity, we are let's double or triple down. Mm-hmm. So one of the things that, so we were working on like brand last year and getting ready to do this big rollout for TV and we're doing billboards and stuff. Yeah. And when we went to go do it, Jesse was trying to figure out why has our searched volume increased over time? And like, what does that mean? What were we doing in that time period? Like, why does it work? And it's all back to this one decision I made in 2020 when the world shut down in March of 2020 and inventory opened up on radio stations. And I got this, I still have the same pricing today, but I got insane pricing. I got this like crazy discount on the flight schedule. So we ripped it. And like that decision was made when we were a $4 million company and it still drives our brand today at 31. Yeah. And I think anytime there's an opportunity where there's blood in the streets, if we're going off of like, Warren's thing for financials, but anytime there's blood in the streets, like to me, shutting off or even slowing down isn't the right answer. I maybe like shift things around. I think that was my other point. Like, oh yeah, that was it. The other caveat is like, if something's not working, totally, figure out another way. But like reducing marketing budget is dumb. Yeah. Like it is dumb. It is like a markedly dumb thing. I feel like every book in the fucking world tells you that.
Well, and that's like kind of where you go, like you can learn all the right things and then like
it's the behavior.
Something punches you in the face and it's like, okay, how do I actually react? And, be greedy when others are fearful, fearful when others are greedy, for sure. It is funny too, because like, obviously you don't want to double down on something that isn't working.
Yeah.
But it's not like, okay, something's not working. Now we just don't have a place to spend this dollar. It's how do I best spend my dollar at all times, right? And even like the way that we have like structured over at Service Scalers is like we're never really incentivized to like spend more money. Like we don't, we can get more.
Because you guys aren't percentage of like
for like paid.
Yeah, Scorpion used to be like 10 or 12% of ad spend, I think.
I mean, I know average to spend they're like 35%.
Yeah,
so like
average is higher for sure.
Insane.
And so, but either way, it's like it's nice because I can sit on a call and be like, hey, I think you should keep your spend the same, and like maybe it changes where you're spending it or what you're investing in. But there's always somewhere that you can make the best use of it, and it is interesting.
Well, it's not even keep it the same. It's like other idiots will reduce their spend.
Supply and demand. So
every lead just got cheaper. Like your favorite store just went on sale.
Yeah.
Water heater fucking leads just went from $100 to $60, and you want to cut your budget. Yeah. Like it just makes no sense.
And there are times where, and I think it's obviously it's company by company. So like you have a certain situation that comes up.
Be strong, Ethan.
Well, I'm saying you're wrong. No, I'm not saying in terms of cutting marketing spend, but more so like what makes the most sense. Like, not everyone needs to spend the same amount on paid versus organic and things like that. But it is always like, there is always going to be the opportunity there for sure. So that is really common.
Well, I think that there's actually a really big problem that I see from home service business owners and their connection directly into marketing agencies that they're working with, is that there's this big disconnect.
Yeah.
So they just see like, hey, I spent $5,000 total, and this is how many leads I got. What they're not looking at is what that cost per lead is and how much they can continue to push that. So let's say you're getting $100 cost per lead, right? That's great. Why not keep spending more money in that one service? All right. So you spent $5,000, so $100 cost per lead. So you got 50 leads there.
Yeah.
All right, great. Now spend 10.
Yeah.
I'll spend 15. Yeah. Keep pushing that number out until you can't go. Like once you spent 25 and suddenly that cost per lead jumped to, 150 or 200. Okay. Now reduce that budget.
Yeah.
But what I see a lot of people, because they don't actually know those numbers, they're not having those conversations with their marketing account manager or whatever their person of point of contact is, that they go, okay, I'm doing Google ads. Let me try something else. Facebook ads too. It's like, you should do that 100%, but you've not maximized what you can get out of Google ads. So don't try something new yet.
Yeah. Yeah. It's also, I think that goes back to like, knowing your numbers and syncing with your agency. But at the same time too, like, do you know what a water heater lead costs you versus a leaky faucet?
Yep.
And what's your strategy behind both of those? Because like, that's a really, honestly, like a common thing that will come in, a new client will come in, will go and clean up their ads account or their strategy or whatever. And it's kind of set to spend the same no matter what the lead type is and no matter what the revenue that comes out of it is.
Yeah.
And like specifically with like an ads account, it's also never been like those offline conversions are never like sent back in. Yeah. And so there's no feedback loop, right? So like, I want you to tell me how are you anecdotally and from your side and what you're tracking, how is lead flow? How is lead quality? What are you actually closing in revenue? And then on our side, because, I can make your cost per lead look a lot lower if all I went for was low quality, low revenue leads.
Well, I remember thinking this when we were like small. And I remember seeing HVAC replacement leads and they were like $200. And like, it'd be like HVAC service leads were like $20, $30, something like that. But like 1 in 7 service jobs turns into a replacement. Yep. So we actually have to buy 7 leads for $210, which is the same as the $200 install lead. Yep. And I was too focused on cost per lead. And I really think we've said this on the show before, but whoever can pay the most for the lead wins. Like who can pay the most? Like who's got the best economics, who's got the highest average ticket, the highest closing rate, and how do you walk confidently into that? Like we have business units we pay $500 a lead for, but our closing rate's 55% and our average ticket is $12,500. So that job at $500 cost me $900.
Yeah.
Which like that's 8% of 12,500. So like I feel pretty good about that number.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
Yeah.
But when we were smaller and just focused on cost per lead, we were missing the forest through the trees.
Well, the thing is, people don't know those numbers.
Yeah.
Like we have conversations with owners all the time and they're like, no idea.
Yeah.
The other day I was on a phone call with a guy who's like, hey, I'm not getting good leads through Google Ads right now. I was like,
fuck,
great.
you weren't. No.
I was like, okay, cool. Can I listen to those phone calls? Oh, we don't record any of those phone calls.
Yeah.
What do you mean you don't record those phone calls? How do you know those are quality or not? Because Ethan, you were telling me the other day, you should tell them about the.
You should tell me.
Yeah, you should tell John.
You should tell me
about the one that started listening to phone calls and started realizing their CSRs weren't actually selling appointments.
Yeah, I think that's one where it's almost like marketing companies have like made all service businesses only think about, hey, here's what I could get your cost per lead to. Like, let me get you the lower cost per lead.
Yeah.
But like this example was great. Was we were having a conversation and I was brought in. It's like on our end, it's like, hey, it seems like your account's actually performing really well, but like the revenue's not producing like we think it should. Hey, let's listen to these calls together. And it would be something, the CSRs just weren't trained well at the end of the day.
Yeah.
And so a good lead would come in, but it would be, hey, can you service us today? Nope.
Yeah.
Instead of, hey, we're full today. Here's our next availability. Like, how do I incentivize someone to wait a little bit? Like if they can, and because I mean, if your CSR is booking, let's say 3 out of 10 calls, but that could be 5, that's massive. That could be hundreds of thousands of dollars of revenue at the end of the year. And so it's that. And then like, how is your service team actually servicing and converting and upselling? Like you're saying, like, hey, if 1 in 7 service calls turns into a replacement, well, what if that actually could be like 1 in 5.5?
Yeah.
And it's just a little training there. So it's like, knowing every step of the funnel. But what's even funny is like, we have some of our best success stories are actually people that have come in. There's one specifically I think of where he was really focused on cost per lead, but his cost per lead wasn't that bad. But he thought like, that's the only way I can get a better return is if everything else stays the same and I get the cost per lead lower. But we actually went in and his cost per lead with us reduced by like 8%, like nothing crazy. But when we went and looked at the account, there was like 2 obvious opportunities. He was converting at such a high clip for these higher revenue jobs than like what was industry average, and then pretty much the same conversion as these lower ticket jobs, but they were still being spent on equally. And there was a certain area, like a certain town that he performed really well in, and these other ones that just weren't converting, like it just like whether it was lower income areas or whatever. And so we go, this is like, are we crazy? This is almost too easy. And so we go, hey, higher revenue jobs, the cost per lead is proportionately, yeah. And then, hey, let's double down on the areas you do well in. And his ROAS, which is for us like return on ad spend, more than doubled because his revenue more than doubled.
Oh, yeah.
And he actually decreased his ad spend by like $2,000 a month. He was spending $22,000. He dropped it to $20,000, but his revenue doubled because it's just this holistic view, right? And then he knows, hey, my CSRs are dialed in, my service guys or sales guys are dialed in. But then also like there's the marketing arm is actually looking for every lead's not created equal. And how can I send every dollar to its highest and best use at all times? Yeah. And that actually takes like effort and attention.
Yeah, it takes a lot of work.
And thinking about it. But that can just make a massive difference. And cost per lead wasn't even his problem.
Yeah. I feel like, as we were talking about like the operational enhancements, on one hand, like you are right. Like it's, and I'm not dogging on it. It's like, yeah, you don't know this and And I'm like, just having gone through the whole journey, like, we're not as big as we're going to be, but like, I remember not having call center dialed, and I remember my call takers responding that way, and I remember how much work it took. And I remember, and it's sort of like, that's why I get really like obsessed, and I mean really obsessed about this just 3-point system inside our business, where like, how do we focus on each problem one at a time? Because what you just said, totally, absolutely true. And as an owner, it is so demoralizing to listen to your calls that you spent so much money on and hear them just like completely butchered. Like, it is painful to listen to. And I've just had to listen to a lot. So, what I like to focus on when I think about improvements, because what you just said is absolutely right, but like, you got to eat it one bite at a time.
Yep,
so
totally.
like, you've got your lead, you have your sale, and you have the install, the fulfillment. So like, this is the 3 pillars that we run our business by. I know we've shared it with you guys a lot, but like, the lead is like this all encompassing, like, there's a bucket of things inside the lead.
Yeah.
There's, okay, well, what's your brand?
Yep.
Like, what are your trucks? What are your uniforms? What's your hiring practice? What type of customers do you serve? And like, we haven't even talked about spend yet. And like, all the way down to included in leads, we consider our call center. Like, that's a part of the lead system. Like, hey, we got the lead, now how do we book it? What do we do about the lead? And if it's in text format, what do you do? So it's complicated. So yeah, you focus on the lead and like everything that touches the pre-revenue lead or pre-appointment lead. The second one, like, okay, what will your technicians even do a good job when they get out to the house? Maybe, maybe not. And like, that's the sale. That's the sale piece. Are we talking about how to upsell? Are we talking about options? What's our accountability there? How often are we training? There's a lot going on, like years of things to work on just that step. And then the fulfillment, for better or worse, that's, you know, because the customers you guys tend to probably work with are the smaller contractors. That's probably the only thing that they're actually good at, is that final thing. It's like, well, I can plumb up fucking anything, but I don't know how to do the other two. So I don't know. Like, I think it's easy to say, but just remembering like the last 9 years of my life, and I'm like, oh my God, it took us a long time to dial in. I mean, right now I feel like we are good. We're fucking good. And the only departments that we're not good are the departments that we've changed from this like 3-step process. So we actually have 2 departments right now where we're like overhauling because they have 4 steps instead of 3, and like it breaks at 4 steps.
It's the magic number.
I don't know, or at least it's how my brain works.
Field Pulse is the all-in-one field management solution for growing home service companies. Field Pulse is designed to simplify your day-to-day operations by combining everything you need into one platform. It also includes integrations to help you save time, like QuickBooks Desktop and online. It has a bunch of advanced tools and features like a CRM, estimates and invoicing, good, better, best options, maintenance plans, a robust price book, and scheduling and dispatching. Field Pulse will transform the way that you manage your field teams. Altogether, it will save you time and find revenue that you didn't even know existed. Whether you're a small company that's looking to grow or a larger company looking to optimize, Field Pulse has the tools that you need to do it. And don't just take our words for it. Field Pulse has earned over 580 glowing reviews with an average rating of 4.8 stars. That's Field, EULSE. Head to their website to learn more, fieldpulse.com.
So what's that size then of a company that should be starting to focus on that? For example, like when we look at SEO, we sell SEO. We love SEO. You should absolutely be doing SEO. Don't do it until you're at least 1.5 million. It just doesn't matter.
I mean, probably. I mean, SEO is like crazy.
It's crazy.
And I know I'm talking to like
game.
2. I know I'm talking to 2 like SEO guys, but like it does work. We threw this tool up on our website to like help capture like customers. You can check it out. Go to my website. check out my website. BetterCallWilson.com. Check out my website. And we put this thing on to like sort of walk through a cart experience. And we no paid.
Yeah.
And zero paid to it, pure organic. And we got like 300 hits on it in the first 30 days.
Yeah.
And we sold $250,000 of shit off of that in the first 30 days, pure organic.
Okay.
Like that's
awesome.
Freaking
That's
crazy. And that's SEO. That's us showing up when we need to show up.
Yeah.
It is a wild game. We started when we were like $2 or $3 million probably.
Yeah.
And just like everything else, like we just, obviously it came up as like a question mark of why are we doing this? But like, I'm sure for Tommy Mello, it's even more stark where he's probably driving millions a month.
Yeah.
Off of his, because I'm driving in the 200s now. We're on our third or fourth month of 200 plus attributable to our organic site. So but Tommy's probably in the millions, like a month.
Well, and it kind of goes back to like, what's the best use of your dollar today?
Yeah.
Because I think when Sam says like, hey, organic or SEO is great, but maybe not when you're like smaller. That's not necessarily saying like, hey, if you had an unlimited budget, of course you're going to do.
Well, you have to handle, you have to handle today and you have to handle 9 months from now.
Exactly. And some companies are in the spot where it's like, I'm so, I have to choose one or the other based on the budget I have. And so
you always choose today.
Yes, exactly. Get the plane off the ground.
Yeah.
And then usually it's like, okay, once we use the fuel, usually like the analogy is paid ads off the ground. And then you start to kind of shift to where you're in the air and you can kind of reallocate budget differently.
Yeah.
But of course, an organic lead is.
Yeah. I mean, we think about, the way like a framework you could use is what percentage of my budget is paid lead versus branded. And for this sake, we're going to consider SEO to be branded, but it's going to drive organic traffic. So that is how we approach it. Okay. So our budget, like we actually track it daily. I wish I could pull it up on the screen, but next time. No. Okay. We'll do that. That'd be sick. But so we track our spend every day, and it's I think 68 to 73,000 is how much we spend on leads, just the lead, a month. So that's our expected spend. So was that $3,000 a day or something? And then we add another 40 grand on top for branded spend.
Yeah.
So that's going to be our SEO work. That's going to be our like TV ads, radio. Yep. We're doing billboards. There'll be another 10 on there. So we break it out into those two categories, and that really helped us a lot figure out like, hey, we need this lead for today.
Yeah.
Like, we literally need it.
Yeah.
But in 9 months from now, how do we grow the pie?
Yes.
And that's this other section of the budget.
Yeah. We'll usually got it. Similar framework when I talk with a lot of people, but it's almost, where are you capturing demand on one side, where it is today. And then like, not I don't know if created demand's the right word, but like
it is.
You're hoping
you're generating demand.
Exactly. Yeah. So like when someone sees your billboard, you'd get really lucky if the moment that they saw your billboard, their wife called and said, "Hey, our water heater went out."
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But if someone's in the shower and it turns ice cold, they're going to search. They're presenting their demand there, right? And so that SEO is kind of like, depending on what you're thinking about it as, can be kind of in both.
Yeah.
Because if someone's like, 24/7 plumber, if you can show up organically for that, that's still like you're capturing the demand where it is. And then what's really cool is like you can do that in a lot of different ways. It could be your website, but it can also your Google business profile. Like I know we've seen like a ton of your calls and leads, like we'll drive from that too. And
GMB's crazy.
Yeah.
GMB's crazy.
And it's another thing where, again, usually I'm talking to a smaller business, I say, hey, your dollars today should probably go towards leads for today.
Yeah.
But the things that you can do that don't necessarily scale are how you can actually grow your organic right now, right? So it's like, how do you incentivize your team to get reviews? Because you can grow your GMB. There's a lot you can do other than this, but you can't grow it at all if you're not constantly getting good reviews on it, right? And so those can come from, hey, it started as a paid lead that then is also contributing to my organic. And so it's like, like you said, like, hey, the smaller companies we might work with, like, yeah, what they're great at is fulfillment. Like they do a great job.
Sure.
Like,
I mean, they're plumbers, they're electricians. Yeah.
And so they are doing 5-star worthy work.
Yeah.
But they're not always thinking to actually go and make the ask for that review.
Yeah.
And that's one of the simplest things you can do. But I always tell people
it's so overpowered.
Like
the larger companies that I talk to, it's almost like I feel stupid half the time when I talk to these guys. Because like it's so clear how much I overcomplicate stuff. But I was talking with Tommy Mello in January, and like one of his big strategic goals, like I was like, hey, we were just talking about our goals for the year, and one of his like 3 was to add. It was like 40 more Google My Business profiles.
Yeah.
And like that was the goal.
Yeah,
and that was like an organizational moving goal. And he has a team built around adding GMBs. And like that is so important to what they're trying to do. And it is literally something that anyone can do. Now, granted, we can't all add 60 and we don't all have a team, but like just, how are we thinking about GMBs? Yeah. Is it optimized? I have this, I have a friend who's like, I get a lot of inspiration from him and how he thinks about GMB. And even like the words inside your responses for reviews
100%.
matter for local SEO.
That's what we do.
The product descriptions, updates, like crazy,
Q&A, everything. Yep.
Yeah. Like there's an infinite number of things that you could work on just on your GMB.
Yes.
Like it is wild.
Well, and that's usually like, there's 2 things I tell people that are earlier on too. One is like the best money you can spend is whatever it takes to get your team to get more reviews, to gather more reviews. So if that's like, hey, it's I spend $500 a month or $300 a month on a reward for some internal competition we have for the most reviews.
Oh man.
Like if you get, 50 reviews out of that, $3?
We're literally doing a Rolex right now.
There you go. And
I'm literally.
How do I sign up for this?
Yeah. So we have 2 different goals. So like on the sales side, because our whole first off, I believe so firmly in the lead sale fulfillment that we actually reorged last year, and that is the structure of our org chart.
Like every
lead sale
falls
fulfillment.
in there.
Yep. Yeah. That's the directors of each vertical. So like on the sale and fulfillment side, we created a Q2 program where like, hey, all we care about for the next 90 days is reviews.
Yep.
The winner from this team gets a Rolex. That's the sales team. The winner, but like the install guys, I love plumbers. Like they could not give a fuck about this Rolex. They're like, dude, what the fuck am I? I'm gonna get like dirt on it.
Yeah.
So we created a separate price for them, and it's like a $5,000 Milwaukee tool shopping spend.
I was gonna say,
and they were like, let's go.
I was gonna say like a grill, a smoker.
Smoker's second price.
Yeah,
smoker's second price.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
But no, I totally agree. Like we literally put a Rolex on the line.
Well, and think however many reviews you guys generate, like let's say the number, it's like you're going to end up spending
thousands.
And you're going to end up spending like $3 for a 5-star review. Yeah. If I was a company that could somehow sell you 5-star reviews, you would empty your pockets for that, right? So I always tell people like that
is illegal.
Yes.
Don't do it.
Yeah. Keyword if. But then secondly, like what I tell people is, best money you can spend is on getting your team to care about reviews.
Yeah.
And then 2 is like, there's so much you can do on your profile, like you said, like
it's crazy.
And that's like something that we do. But I always tell people like that I show how like updates, Q&A, keywords in your review responses. I mean, it's money if you can get somehow a customer to leave keywords in the
or
pictures.
Like pictures. Yeah. Can you get them to leave a picture?
Yeah.
That apparently counts as like the old LSA gold reviews. If you have pictures.
Yeah. So it's just like all these things that it's like, if you really need to be like lean and mean, like go do these things. Now we love to help people with their GBPs because there's some other stuff on the back end and like, whatever you can do. Yeah. But really a lot of what it comes down to with Google is like, hey, they built out all these features on their profiles and like the Q&A section, like I don't care about it. You don't care. Like
you just got to do it.
Your consumers don't care about it, but Google paid some engineer way too much money to build it. So they care.
Yeah.
And so like go use it and
play
use it
Google's
in a way.
Game.
Exactly. And so it's
if
like
they suggest it,
do it.
You do
it.
Which is funny because even in like ads accounts, you'll see like they will tell you if something is like good or bad or not. And so many times we do these PPC audits, and I'm like, I'm here to tell you all the things that like Google isn't telling you. But it's kind of crazy that when you look in this account, everything says it says you're doing is bad, and like nothing's been changed yet.
Still full yeah. Well, I think people are convinced it's wrong, but like they have the data. You know, we started getting we've been guys. We're on YouTube now.
Oh, I know.
We're pushing really hard on this.
Let's go.
And Google like offers us up like recommended topics that people like. Hey, you showed up in this amount of feeds. And the people that you're showing up for in those feeds also search something like this. Yeah. So we got a lot of Air Pros questions. How to grow a plumbing company was one, which was like a uniquely well-suited topic.
But
it was interesting. So what we started doing was like, hey, I mean, Google knows like they have the data. So the moment we get those suggestions, like yesterday we ripped one in like 20 minutes from John telling me we had this suggestion. Because like, hey, if they're saying it, like you should just do it.
Great. Well, and it's interesting too, because I think like on this side of the fence, there's certain perspectives or thoughts about any search engine, like let's use specifically Google.
Yeah.
But what you have to think about with Google is like they also are thinking of the consumer.
Yeah.
And so an example is like you get in your ads account, you get rated on your ad relevance. And that is a factor in if you will show up, like even sometimes the cost what it will cost you to actually get a click. And so if Google sees that you're running, a very general plumbing ad, but someone specifically is looking for like 24/7 drain repair, and you don't make mention of 24/7 or drain, Google's going to say this is an average rated ad because they want the most.
It's mid.
Exactly. Literally, you guys are mid.
Pretty mid.
And so they want to serve their consumer by serving them the most relevant ad. Same with like your landing pages.
Keeps Google coming back.
Google will tell you, is your landing page relevant? Like they're not going to send consumers to your site if you're running violin lesson ads to a Safari, whatever experience website. Like those are totally separate things, and Google doesn't want to waste their consumer time. So similar to like filling out your Q&A section and things like that on your GBP, people may say like, oh, that is a waste of time. Like who actually uses that? Why would it be a ranking factor? Or like the Google suggested things. Why would I do
products.
it? Yeah. Or
products is kind of a weird one, but like
you've got to
all of that is things that show up.
And it's because Google ultimately is saying, okay, how much information are you giving to a consumer? How helpful do you seem? How relevant, how authoritative on these things? Not just because they're like, we're Google, so like dance the way we want to, but ultimately they want to retain as many consumers as they can in their search ecosystem.
Yeah.
And so they're trying to force you to play the game that they think will keep people with them.
Yes, yes. And buts. Google is not your friend. They are trying to spend your money.
Yeah.
So there are things that it will suggest you do that will screw you. I've been on so many of these calls with these Google reps, and they're like, "Hey, we need to turn all these keywords to broad," and I'm like, no, I'm not going to show up for just anything Google thinks I should show up for. So
especially when it's a word you already know
is
performing well, you're like, I don't need to add to it.
So you're absolutely right. Google is going to have its ratings, and some of those things are very key. Like ad relevance is super key. You should always look at that. Your keyword copy, its rating is so good on that. But there are certain things in your account. It's going to say, we want to see this, and if you do that, you will be literally just lighting money on fire.
Yeah, a lot of the times it is with the things that it's like, will this affect how much I actually spend? Yes or no? Okay, then maybe it's not something as much.
That's funny.
So it's both. And that's why Google Ads is more complicated than something like LSA. LSA, get in there, turn it on, optimize it for sure, but like it is not nearly the skill set required for as Google Ads. Yeah,
for sure.
I want to hear a little bit about what you guys are doing internally and what you're thinking about externally on AI. I know you brought on automations team. I'm just interested right now in people who are doing automations internally.
Yeah.
Like we've done this. Are you guys using like Replit or Lovable or N8N? How am I supposed to pronounce it? Is it like NAN or like how am I supposed to pronounce that?
NAN? No, I don't know. NAN, I think is what it is.
Okay.
.io. Yes. So if you don't know, NAN is a kind of like a Zapier or a make.com automations platform. It's a little bit more complex than those. So you could do a little bit more as far as like AI agents. And so, which again, I don't know how much nerding I'm about to start doing right now.
I think we should do it. I will at this conference. I'll preload you. At this conference I was at, I hosted it. It was a lot of fun. It was so cool.
One of the best conferences I've ever been to.
It was one of the best conferences I have ever.
Huge.
The hosts
were amazing.
Just
looking,
incredible.
informative.
Very handsome. Great comb over. One of them was short. So we had this one of our speakers, and it's Holdco Conf. So buying businesses, incubating businesses, like how to think about that, how to approach it. And one of our speakers is Brian Rand, and Brian is just like an awesome speaker. He's a lot of fun to listen to. Fun anecdote, like we're giving away Rolexes for our reviews contest, and his sales manager for one of his companies is the third largest purchaser of G-Wagons in the US.
No way.
And they give their G-Wagons, he buys 13 a quarter, and he gives 13 G-Wagons every 90 days to his highest performing sales
That's
reps.
amazing.
So,
We're in the wrong industry.
like,
Don't get any ideas either.
absolutely wild. A lot of fun to listen to. But one of the things he's focused on right now is AI and how it can be used for like overhead arbitrage.
Yes.
So if I'm wanting to buy a plumbing company in Georgia, or even like, whatever. If I want to buy a plumbing company 2 hours away, how can I take their expected overhead and instead of it being 35 to 40%, how can I make it 25 to 30? And like, what's the arbitrage lift that I can get on that? So like the way that we're approaching that, we've talked a ton on the show about like, we are now in a remote first hiring mentality where, which is still shockingly innovative for the industry. But if we're looking at hiring, like we're looking overseas first. And now we're adding in automations on top of that. So like, how are we reducing lift? How are we like finding friction points in the business and reducing those friction points?
Yeah.
So yeah, how are you guys thinking about this?
So when I think of AI, I mean, we literally just hired a team for this, right? This is a massive opportunity for us, specifically in the marketing industry, because we're 100% remote. Everything is digital for us. It's not like we have to go, plumb a house, right? We are 100%.
You're missing out.
Yeah. I actually have done it once, but never again. So when I look at this from our standpoint, one is I want to increase the results that we get for our clients. And two is I want to increase the capacity of my team.
Yeah.
Right. So if I can get, because, our game is all about how do we keep people for as long as possible? Well, the best way you can do that is get them good results.
Yeah.
And so what I'm looking at it to do is have very specific AI agents that live inside of our clients' accounts. And so looking for one specific thing. So where are we, where do we see keywords that have enough data behind it that aren't converting to alert us now? I want one that is basically just sitting in there that's like, hey, like if there's any kind of big time movement, like ad stop spending, something like that, like just alerting us at any time of, hey, something's looking off on this account. Let us know. Our team's in there 3 times a week. Anyways, at a minimum. But if you have somebody that's always in there that can catch problems before they become real problems, things as simple as like its job is to find, you're talking about landing pages, always connecting ad copy to landing pages and always just making sure that, hey, everything is good. And when it's not, alerting us.
Yeah.
We're looking at it from a capacity of being able to audit our clients' websites. I want to at some point get to a place where the kickoff meeting that we have with our clients, we have so much already built out because we're able to automate like, hey, this is our clients, local area. These are their top 3 to 5 biggest competitors in the area. This is what they're doing wrong. This is the opportunity gap that you're not even taking advantage of. So Ethan goes to the sales meeting and closes that deal because we're able to show the client or the prospect at this point, look at all this opportunity that you don't even know about. And they're like, wow, Ethan, how did you get all this done?
It's almost like opportunity arbitrage.
Yeah. And then the second thing is the capacity, right? Like, how can we get more done, right? You know, we're in business to make money. So we want to be profitable as possible. And so how can we take one person, spend a lot of money on someone that's super talented at strategy, and then take all these other jobs that would be a part of their job and automate it.
Yeah.
Right. Like, there's no reason that we should have an account manager writing up a report on a weekly basis.
Yeah.
That should be all the data that's aggregated from the CRM to the ads account to their overall marketing goals pulled in for them to review it and go, yeah, this makes sense. Okay, let's send that off. Versus them having to type something out.
Yeah.
You know, it would just save hours. So like, that's the type of stuff that we're trying to go like, hey, how do we automate this so that we can get better results at a higher capacity?
Yeah, I think we had our quarterly this morning, and it was quarter two, and one of the pain points that came up was capacity of our leaders. And it was interesting how much lift is going into reporting and analytics every day, week, month. And I think that only accelerates the bigger you get, because you just need a lot of information to run this type of business. Like, there's 50 sales reps. We have to know what's going on with those 50 sales reps. We get hundreds of leads a day. We have to know what's going on with all of these leads. So it is interesting. That's one of our approaches too, is how do we gain leverage for our existing team, and how to, instead of a remote first. So the way that I've compared this is you can hire American, you can hire remote, or you can put in a software in place. Alternatively, now some type of AI solution. But the automation, we see a big opportunity in it, but we still feel like we are fumbling in the dark.
Yeah.
We got our first app out.
Let's go.
Yeah.
Like made it internally?
And functioning. Like, it went live Monday.
Nice. Very cool.
That's amazing.
And it's a response time app. So for HR, accounting, fleet, marketing, and accounting, it dashboards our time to respond and our time to resolve issues, which is apparently something that we needed, because once you start like growing, like, you need to track it more. But it was, it's cool, but like, we're trying to figure out what to do next to get the highest lift.
I think too, like, it's just going to become, another investment column on the spreadsheet. And where we even had the conversation, because we were like, had a few different positions we wanted to hire for. Yeah. And we were kind of in between two, and one of them had to do with automation. And it was kind of like, well, if we hire the automation one,
do we need the other one?
And also, it will probably free up enough money to hire that person faster than vice versa, right? And so it's like, and what's cool too is what we're finding is a lot of the things that ultimately make our team productive are also the things that produce better results for our clients. And so like, like a lot of these for us, solutions kind of just go hand in hand. I mean, the more like friction you guys reduce, the more time you can literally spend doing the important human only parts. Yeah. And that's how we see it too. It's, hey, can I remove this 4 hours a week of reporting off your plate? And that 4 hours a week can go to like working with your team, which that is way more freaking important than, the 4 hours a week to look at it for 20 minutes a day. But I even think like, someone might look in like a digital marketing, like online world and be like, well, of course y'all are doing a bunch of AI. I just think and I'm sure like you're already doing this, but I think in like 3-5 years, it's going to be like every plumber or every trades business or service business is going to have some sort of I think like a person on their team that it's just like, they are the, whatever it's called, AI, automations, agents side, because I think both there's going to be internal things that can be fixed and helped. And then also so much is going to be changed externally that it's like, how do we fit our business into this different ecosystem that is changing and adapting. And And so it's just like one of those things where I think it can seem like, oh, it's for another industry, or that's really intimidating because that's not really how our industry works. But like, it's really not as, some things. It
is a bit intimidating. I mean, coming from my perspective, we felt pretty out of our depth when doing it, but, and we still do. Like, we only have one person on the team. We're getting ready to bring on our second. You guys have two.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. We're getting ready to bring on our second. And the first one was like a custom dev.
Mm-hmm.
And now we're getting ready to bring on an AI specialist to help support them. But it's weird. Yeah. I mean, it's a weird thing. And it's hard to look at sections of your business, at least because I'm not used to it. I'm sure I will get better at it with time. But it's hard to look at sections of your business if you don't come from a background that has anything to do with tech and say, I can automate that.
Yep.
Like task management for us, if you look at it, it's simple. Mm-hmm. Like it's a dashboard that shows how many tasks are open. It's not that complicated. We could probably buy something like it off monday.com or something, but getting all the APIs to work was more complicated. But I think it's unusual.
It is. Yeah.
I feel like in the next couple of years though,
it'll be very normal.
It'll be normal.
Yeah.
And I think you can do it small.
Oh, yeah.
Like I think companies sub $5 million, you could figure out a way to bring on somebody part-time, or you could do something to help facilitate.
I would, if anybody wants to dip their toes in it, just go to Upwork.
Yeah.
Right. You can find somebody that's, that does Zapier or Make.com for $50 to $100 an hour that you just bring in and go, hey, I want you to audit what we have and tell us what you would automate, right? Like having that small conversation. I was the one that really pushed it internally.
I feel like someone at the top of the org chart has to push it.
Yeah.
Like almost every leader that I know is trying to figure out, they're either personally driving the bus on it or they're trying to figure out, where do I even begin?
Yeah.
But it's on everyone's brain. Yeah, and I think it has to come from the top. Otherwise it, doesn't seem to work as well.
Yeah. So when I went and pushed it, my first thing was, guys, this is going to increase capacity and increase profitability. Yeah. Here are the few things that I think we could, immediately see $3,000 to $5,000 a month of savings.
Yeah.
In the next, 30 to 90 days with just automating these things. So like, if you're trying to figure out like, does this even work for my business? Is this a good investment? Go see if you can like, hey, if I didn't have to have somebody do this, I could free up 20 hours a week of their time, and that would save me $500 a week or $1,000 a week. Suddenly, that's $4,000.
Yeah,
great, right? Now you've already, because I think you can go find offshore talent to do this.
Yeah,
I know you can because I hired that person.
Yeah, we did. Ours is in Brazil.
Ours is in Colombia.
Yeah,
and so. You can absolutely, and it wasn't just one person. It was quite a few people we had conversations with. I will say the one thing that is tricky is that not everybody knows AI to that depth.
That part has been hard. Yeah, our custom dev, dev's been around for a long time.
Yeah.
But it was much harder anyone can say they're an AI expert. And who's going to call them out?
Everyone has the same amount of experience, 2 years.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. Like, we all have exactly 2 years. That's funny. But no one's going to call them out.
Yeah.
Because no one really knows what expert is right now.
Yeah.
But when we went to go hire the AI specialist to add to that team, everyone's an AI on any of these remote hiring. Everyone's an AI specialist, and it means that they've used ChatGPT once.
Yeah.
So that has been challenging. How did what were the metrics that you used to find yours?
So it was off random LinkedIn ads, LatAm, because just there's a lot of great talent there. And I just called it an AI specialist or an AI wizard or something like that. AI and automations wizard was my title.
And it's 2 people.
2 different people.
Yeah. Who reports to who?
Everyone reports to me.
So they're flat.
Right now they're flat.
Yeah.
They report to actually my director of fulfillment because ultimately she's in charge of capacity and ops, which is where they're working underneath. We do the same thing. We do leads, sales, ops. We actually have our fourth bucket is hiring or team management, like people.
I'm going to say something that makes me, if not sound like a boomer, definitely feel like a boomer.
Say it.
Just the amount of people over my career that I have heard say, oh, we're building custom software for that. I've created a lot of content that's probably pretty easy to find on my like Twitter or whatever. I'm just like, that's the stupidest idea I've ever fucking heard. but now when we're looking at team leadership, because I got a lot going on. I can give the resources to get this started, but someone needs to be like the how do I find friction person? Mm-hmm. They have to, and for us, it's physical because we're physically, you guys are remote and dispersed, but we're physically located somewhere. So someone has to walk around, I think, and like feel and touch different sections of the business, work in each department, find the friction, and then lead a team to develop solutions for that. And that's what makes me feel like a boomer is I'm like the CEO that has to hire a young whippersnapper to lead AI into his fucking business. And I'm like, God damn it. How did I get to be this age? But yeah, it does make me feel very old.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, well, it's also moving faster than anything else has ever moved.
Yeah,
before.
it's fast. And the opportunities out there. I mean, all the apps to support it have been really fun.
Yeah.
But we're just making almost no use. Like the first year of AI, I think there's layers.
Yeah.
Like maybe there's 3 right now. I'm sure there'll be more, but the first layer is like, are you using AI at all?
Yeah.
The second layer is, are you custom developing solutions to solve your problem?
Yeah.
And the third layer is, are you replacing people?
Yeah.
And we've been on layer 1 for a while. Like we were implemented in every team at least 8 months ago, maybe more, like even field team. We've been using it in call center, like a lot to support our call functions. Haven't really replaced people with it, but just now the custom part. So on one hand, I feel like we're barely scratching the surface of AI. And on the other, we're using more AI in our business than most other plumbing companies that I know.
Yeah.
So it does feel kind of weird, but
it's one of those things where it's like we're talking, and so we feel like everyone knows what AI is and like has tried all the different models and whatever. And then for me, it's like I go talk to my dad, and he's like, "What? Like, what do you mean?" And so it's like the fact that people are having the conversation or thinking about it in general is good. And then I think even to go back to it being kind of an intimidating piece. And I think, John, you're kind of like, hey, how do you vet if someone is actually good at it or not? Like that can be a lot, especially for a much smaller company. But what I'm also seeing is there's like the custom company by company use case where it's like, this is very specifically answering a very specific problem for us. But I'm also seeing that like a lot of the AI today acts kind of like a software would anyway, like a very efficient and forward thinking software. And there's a lot of these solutions that are maybe more general, right? They're not a perfect, like only Wilson had this issue. Yeah. But if you're a smaller plumber, like or smaller whoever, I don't know how to vet this or whatever. Like there's so many tools now that are coming out that are more like, hey, this is kind of a one size fits all. It will fit you. And it's making it more approachable, more efficient, more cost effective. And so at the very least, like keeping up with what's happening, not saying you have to go code your own app every day or anything like that, but just,
well, I'd be like rethinking potential solutions. Like the things that made sense 2 years ago suddenly don't make sense. We're looking at, I'll give an example in accounting, but we're getting ready to switch to an ERP, like a more robust accounting suite. And the natural progression in our industry is QuickBooks then Sage Intacct. Because Sage Intacct has a really strong integration with ServiceTitan. Suddenly, there are much better, cheaper, faster, smoother options that are AI driven. And that is a new thing. Yep. So just be really thinking about on top of keeping up. But are there other solutions that may not yet be the common knowledge thing?
Yeah.
Because Sage Intacct is $50,000 to start.
Yeah.
And then $50,000 a year.
It's a lot of these incumbent enterprise softwares.
Yeah. This is not a great time to be there.
Yes.
But yeah, this new one, and it takes, so I'm going to run through, because this is crazy. It takes 6 months to onboard onto Sage Intacct or NetSuite. You can't test it, so you don't know if it's going to work for you. It costs $50,000 to an outside party. Like it's a spread. Maybe it's $30,000, maybe it's 80, but ours was 50. So it cost us $50,000 to integrate over 6 months. And it was actually going to be such a lift for my team that my controller was going to have to hire an assistant controller. So $80,000 to $100,000 to support the accounting department while he transitioned ERPs. And then it's $50,000 a year, and you still don't know if it's going to work, or like, did they do a good job integrating? It could be a total clusterfuck. So companies spend hundreds of thousands of dollars migrating to these antiquated solutions. We found a solution that's AI driven. They can move us from QuickBooks in 5 days. 5 fucking days.
Yeah.
And it's half of the price annually of Sage Intacct. And there's no integration fee because they've designed the workflow and tech stack to do it in 5 days. So there's no cost. They just do it.
Hey, John, I've got this great business idea.
Dude, it's crazy. It's crazy. So
anything that takes 6 months to implement, that's a business idea.
Yeah,
anything
totally.
that takes 6 months to implement.
6 months and $50,000. It's No, it's totally crazy. So like we were getting ready to like cut our $50,000 check in Q3. Like we were going to begin integration. And now we're like deciding, hey, do we want to integrate this week or next week? I don't know. I got a couple things going on this week.
Well, and again, what's great is you didn't have to.
We didn't
try
have
and
to
play around with Replit and
we didn't have to do anything.
Yes.
Like there's just solutions that are starting to come out that are just simply better,
cheaper, better, faster, more efficient. Yeah. And so that's where I'm like, you don't even have to be, the AI wizard or know how to point one out, but you will see cost reduction, efficiency improvements, things like that. And so it really is just like, where is there friction in my business, whether that's sales process,
or excess cost.
Exactly.
Yeah. Like Service Titan. I hope somebody comes up with a better solution. And like they probably can. Like just really AI driven, because anyone in the industry that has a massive fucking budget is spending money on, like, that cost me $28,000 a month.
Yeah.
I would move.
Yeah.
Find me a better solution. I would move. Yeah. Like, what's your margin's my opportunity? The AI is your OpEx is my opportunity. So there's no OpEx to fucking develop a software anymore.
Exactly. And so it's just like friction in my business.
Yeah.
Like what has cost me outlandishly, and can I either automate part of it or find someone who has figured that out? Like, I think that's because then it like ultimately like, drives your profitability, but then also like gives you an edge on what you're able to price at.
Oh yeah.
And so you're winning more, and ultimately that's going to drive your total,
Yeah. So someone's going to come up with a Service Titan killer. I mean, it's just too much money.
Yeah, well, or it's going to force, or it's going to force people to rethink how they price and how they deliver and all that. Like either way, it's going to be a net win for consumers or users.
I don't think it'll be one Service Titan killer. I think it'll be lots.
Yeah.
The way I see is AI is going to become a wrapper for marketing.
Yeah.
And then basically you're going to have, instead of like 1 or 2 services, softwares, you're going to have,
a stomach.
10.
Just like
just growling.
Yeah.
You're hungry?
No, I had sushi, but like I feel like Ethan's just like listening to my stomach, just like, hey.
You better hope these mics aren't that good.
Yeah.
Thankfully they're so good that they block all this out, I believe.
I was gonna say,
that's amazing.
Actually, that mic won't pick up me talking either.
That's so wild.
Yeah, that's wild. Well, one of the problems that I'm actively trying to solve in our business is speed of feedback loop. So how quickly can our clients' results get back to the marketing team?
Dude, that's wildly important.
Yes. It's so important.
Yeah.
So,
and I think,
go ahead.
My feedback as a contractor, I actually didn't realize how important that was until we were in our mid 20 millions.
Yeah.
So my suspicion is most people don't.
Yeah.
But like, hey, this stuff doesn't come out of the box working. Like Angie's List, PPC, even LSA, like nothing just is going to fucking work.
Yeah.
Like you have to give data back in order to understand what is working. Like back to your story of, hey, we found this zip code with this one service that delivered all of our ROAS. That takes feedback.
Yeah. And no one, not your internal marketing team,
Yeah.
not your sales team, will know that intuitively.
Oh,
so you
heck no.
have to consistently give good feedback on things. And so we're looking on like, how do we build an AI agent that like lives inside our client's individual CRM that just always is giving us feedback and pulling in data from the CRM and from their Google ads and for their LSA and then wrapping it into something tangible for us to be able to use.
Yeah.
Which leads me to, I think we might, I don't want to speak this over. Maybe I shouldn't say this on a podcast, but like I could see us getting quickly into, hey, we actually create AI agents for plumbing businesses. And here's like 10. Do you need any one of these 10s offer? So anybody has any ideas or problems they want to be solved, you should reach out. And
there's that one business that does that.
Which one?
There's probably a lot, but there's one that has like 10 little, I'm not naming them.
Yeah.
I've caught myself like 5 times this episode, like, can't name them. I'm really working on that. Would you say no free promo? No free promo.
Celsius.
Gotta hide the Celsius label. We have an official studio, guys, now. We're a real podcast. But yeah, there's a business we started using. I don't think it works very well. It'll probably get better in time, but it's the earliest version of functional AI agents that we've seen. And there's 8 to 10, and it's very specific roles. So this is a marketing bot. And I think all they do is respond to emails. It's not that robust. This is a sales bot, which I think is like Clay wrapped. It, just does outbound. It's not very good, but it's early stages of what you're talking about. And it doesn't cost a lot of money. I feel like it's like $200 or something.
Yeah.
So, I don't know.
Yeah, there's a lot of different ways.
It also barely works, so who knows if it's good spend.
I also don't really want to get into that game. So if there are other options, I'd rather go that direction.
Yeah, we just have to point to people like, here, this is great. Come go use this one.
Yeah, I'd rather do that. But also sometimes it is. I mean, that's why we didn't want to get into the website game. We actually tried to avoid that and just do our services.
I mean, the landing page is just so important.
Yep. That's where we came into problems. Is we'd go, hey, we're going to run ads
to your
but
page.
Here, go create landing pages. And they're like, yeah, but we don't want to spend $30,000. It's like, well, why are you spending $30,000 on a website? It's like, well, that's what the agency quoted us. And I'm like, no, don't do that. You don't need a new website. You need a landing page.
Yeah. It is actually kind of wild how many people you'll talk to spend a significant amount of money on pay per click, and
send it to their homepage or something.
They have a service page with all of their services on it.
Yeah.
And
it doesn't work.
And it doesn't have a phone number button on it. like unless you scroll down, you can't call or things like that. So,
but that their dad started this in 1965 and their whole,
but it's also funny because I'm like, you're paying someone a lot of money to manage that and you're putting a lot of spend into it.
I think they just don't understand the sections.
It's holistic.
Yeah, they don't understand how it relates. And we've all been trained as an industry, like, hey, Angie's List doesn't involve my website. LSA doesn't care about what's on my website. Why would PPC? So I think it just takes education of, hey, PPC sends someone to your website, then what will they see? Yeah. And that's the whole question. Yeah. Whereas LSA is a phone call. Yeah. That's it. Yeah. Angie's List is a lead form.
Yeah. Yeah. Can they, when they land on your website, do they know I'm in the right place?
Yeah.
This is for the right service.
Yeah.
And all they have is a call button, but I don't really want to talk to someone on the phone. Is there a way there's no form or vice versa.
Yeah.
I can't find the phone number and I need to call somebody now because there's 2 inches of water on my kitchen floor. So it's those little things. Again, it's like a lot. They seem so small, but when you go from specifically on spending, how much a click costs, how many of those convert on your website from a click visitor to a lead, how your CSR handles that lead and their conversion rate into a appointment, and how many times you close that appointment into a job. It's just compounding. If you improve each of those by 2%, it's crazy.
Well, we call it. We have a framework for this, but we call it the circle of accountability, and it's 9 prongs, 10 prongs. but it's like, obviously I focus on the 3 lead sale fulfillment, but even deeper into that, who's in front of you that has to do a good job for accounting at the end of the day to distribute profit. So like marketing comes first. Then next is call center. Do we book it?
Yes.
Like literally, do we book it? Dispatch. Does it go on the right tech? Technician. Do we sell it? Installer. Do we do a good job installing it? And we go around, and there's a couple more, but it, like, basically everyone really only has 1 or 2 things that they have to do. Now you have to do them well, but we train on it in our leadership because, hey, this is the section of the pie that you own. Like, you have to do a good job here because everyone after you relies on you to do a good job.
Yeah, marketing can crush it, and
sales can flop,
or booking, or whatever.
Sales can be incredible, but you have no leads.
You have no leads, or bad leads, or lower quality.
Right.
Like, you want to be the premium price in your market, right? But you're only getting leads in a less than premium area, whatever.
So we spent a ton of time talking about AI inside our own businesses. How are we? I spend a lot of time thinking about this. I've gotten absolutely nowhere with it, but I do consume hours. How are we feeling about AI in search and like what that looks like and what we should be safeguarding against?
I mean, one thing that we're seeing is just a change in how people search now, right? Like it used to be, and people still do. The majority of the searches you're going to get is like plumbers near me or plumbers Los Angeles, HVAC company in Dallas. But there is starting to be a little bit more of like a conversational
narrative
question. Yeah, like, hey, what are the best plumbers in this area with at least 5-star reviews? Type of conversation that you're having with these search engines. And so, I mean, honestly, more long tail keyword type of searches are going to become more relevant. Which is going to be
that's why we're like doing better than ever.
Well, maybe that's why we rock.
That's always been a thing. Like, hey, who actually takes the time to add in long tail keywords instead of just plumber near me, plumber Akron, but more so now. Yeah.
So I think that's going to be a big deal going forward.
I'm still a staunch Google user.
Yep.
Yeah.
I don't know why. I just like every time I use it, I'm like, why am I doing this?
I got to get you on Perplexity.
I know. I just haven't pivoted, but I do. It is very conversational search.
Totally.
Yeah. And it serves me up a lot of Reddit.
It's interesting. Yeah, that's for sure. And it's interesting to me too, because I'm a little bit similar. If I ever need to think through something or figure something out, like I was trying to like calculate something for taxes, it's like, I'm going to go use Grok or ChatGPT because I'm going to be able to, when there's a ton of inputs I have that I need something to work through, it'll do it. But if it's like,
that was a humble brag. No. When I'm working on my taxes, there's just so much input.
No.
So many commas.
When I got to the third comma. But then if it's like, gosh, I really want some Mexican, but I'm here in Akron, like, okay, Mexican restaurant. And I look on Google, right? And so like, it's interesting because I would even say like, we're probably in like the top 5% of people that think and use AI, and it still is hard and fast in that way. And so like, you think of older generations and the general consumer is still, using Google regularly. It's interesting though, because I actually had a cool conversation with a guy who is actually buying an HVAC business. He's under LOI. And
let's go.
But he has a big background in AI. And so we were talking through the marketing side. And then I finally just got to ask him, like, hey, this is how I kind of think through it. Like, am I thinking it through this correctly? And what did you guys see? Because he was head of AI for a Fortune 200, I think, or like a director that was doing a lot of stuff with AI. And it was interesting because, but there was a few things, because I kind of asked him, I was like, here's how I'm kind of trying to figure out how AI works, which is like a very big thing to try and do. But I'm always trying to learn so that I can keep our team updated and our clients and whatnot. So I'll just go search like, I'm in Dallas and I need a new water heater. Who should I use? And then it'll give me a list of names. And it's always changing. And I just keep asking questions. How did you get that list? Okay, here's the things that factored. What did you weight the heaviest in this decision, right?
Yeah.
And so it breaks it down. It's like, well, I used the proximity from your location along with, the reviews that I pulled from these 3 websites, Google, maybe the BBB and Yelp. And so you kind of learn like, here are the inputs that currently matter to AI. But the interesting thing is that is constantly changing.
Yeah.
And so in this conversation with this gentleman, he's like, anyone who says they figured out, like any marketing agency that tells you we have cracked the code on ranking for AI.
Well, yeah, no one knows.
Well, because it's also changing literally every second because it's learning and iterating, right? Yeah. So he's like the search SEO game for AI is going to be weird and who knows how it'll end up. Yeah. But he was also like most of these either search engines or like the Perplexities, ChatGPTs, they eventually need to monetize. Like, how did Google monetize ads? Yeah. And so will there be an ad element?
Well, that's like Thumbtack on ChatGPT. I feel like we're going to see a lot more of that.
Yep.
And frankly, it works. Like the ROAS on that is good, like wildly good. I think we're at 11 or 12 times.
Well, and that's wildly.
That's fucking wild.
Yeah. But the most interesting part was I was just like, how should someone think about like optimizing for AI, whether it's content on your website? And he said, I think that search is probably going to stay similar in terms of how you rank. It's going to be helpful content, relevant to the user, all those things. But he said eventually there'll be a switch, and that will still be the most important. But instead of being the most helpful and relevant to a consumer, it's going to be most helpful and relevant to an AI agent.
Well, see, that I texted you about this yesterday. I actually think that went into effect. That was an update that just happened a day or two ago.
Yeah, Google was had slowly rolled out some updates and things.
Yeah, and it was making SERPs so that, hey, are your pages more relevant to AI bots?
Well, I'm not even talking about just the content.
Yeah,
I'm talking about and what he was talking about. Yeah, is that eventually people will not AI searching for them, but AI actually booking the appointment for them. So an agent that is John Wilson's personal agent that you go, hey, I need a water heater replacement and same day.
Yeah.
And what website is set up so that it has AI on it that can communicate with AI because it's much faster, ease of use for scheduling, all these types of things. Now that's pretty far in the future, not crazy far, but like your grandma does not yet feel the need to have an AI agent. But there will probably come a time where most people are using some sort of service like that.
Yeah.
And so less, because a lot of people will be like, SEO is completely dead because AI has it all and all that. It's like, there's no data that you actually see that, especially in the local service. If you had a recipe
and it has
website,
to draw the data from somewhere.
Exactly.
AI literally has to pull that information from somewhere.
Yep. And so if you had a recipe website, now it could just pull your recipe. And so it's like, they don't need to go to your website for ads anymore.
Yeah.
But it's not like, hey, I need a water heater repair. If they pull your information up there, that's not a bad thing because they're still going to have to find someone to do it. And so in the local service business, it's changed the way people are searching, like Sam said, but it's not like cannibalizing what your website's SEO efforts have been. It's more so eventually we're going to have to change of instead of catering to a human audience, it'll be, how do we simplify this for an AI agent to come find, book, and schedule?
Yeah.
Which was really interesting because, again, it's like you'll see people on wherever it is, X or LinkedIn, we've cracked the AI code and they've got a screenshot of one of their clients showing up in ChatGPT.
Yeah.
It's like, well, if I go search today, that could be totally different.
Well, I mean, even if I search minute by minute, I'll get different results. I ran a search for this was something I tried to Google and I couldn't. So I was like, fuck, fine, I'll use ChatGPT. And it still produced bad results, but I was looking for a hyper specific book. I was like, hey, can you give me a book? And I don't consume video or audio, really. I just make it apparently, but I just tend to read a lot. So I was like, hey, I need a book on how to go from what are the steps involved, or give me someone's journey on $20 to $150 million in multi-location. Someone's written that book.
Yeah.
I don't know who. It's probably really small. Anyways, I searched it 4 or 5 times and same exact words, different results, just continuously. So yeah, I feel like there's no cracking it yet, and I do think what Thumbtack's done is what it will probably continue to look like.
Yeah.
And eventually, it'll be probably paid paid ads on. I mean, that makes the most amount of sense. If you're going to replace Google, then you start selling ads.
Yeah. And then, and two, it's like how realistically, how many consumers are going to move away from Google. And if it's not a mass exodus, then it's not in Google's best interest to cannibalize their own revenue maker, which is LSA and ads. Right. And then the engagement on their platforms like Maps and so forth. So, it's definitely something that we're always keeping up with. And like, I love to share when we find stuff. And like what Sam was saying, like whether it's, hey, is there enough of a similar pain where we can go build an agent that then like our clients get to use and benefit from, or like we're really all about like, we know what we're good at and what we're not good at too. And so if there's like a tool out there where we can go like, we don't really benefit from this, but like you will benefit from this. Like we just kind of think of everything as we're partners. And so the better your business does, the better, we'll ultimately do. And so, yeah, it's like, we want to stay on top of this stuff so that we're being effective, but also so that we can actually add a lot of value outside of just like the small world that we live in within, the grand scheme of your business.
Yeah. I think the core structure is going to remain the same.
Yeah.
So regardless of what happens with AI, even what happened with Google or whatever, businesses have to be listed somewhere and they will be indexed and they will be searchable. And wherever that can happen, someone's going to sell ads.
Yeah.
Because like people want to grow.
Yeah.
So I feel like the way we're trying to approach it is just to be flexible and like keep an eye on it. But there's a lot of talk about what could happen and like people concerned, but like what's actually happening is not much. Like really inconsistent results from ChatGPT. We've added Thumbtack, which that's been kind of cool. Mm-hmm. Like Google's still just more consistent.
We're going to look so dumb when this is all wrong. AI is just taking over the world.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, but they're going to sell ads.
I know. I'm mostly kidding, but also caveat.
My guess is it's going to turn very much into Amazon. So you think about like running ads on Amazon.
Yeah.
It's very much product centered.
Yeah.
And then it's SEO based. And so instead of, because you're only going to get so many of these spots. So you're going to run ads on ChatGPT. You're going to run ads on Perplexity. You're going to run ads on Claude or whatever the search engine of choice is. And you're just going to have to run it the same way you do Google ads, right? Like you drive traffic to your website and phone calls or make it super easy for them to book appointments and then make sure that there's an actual feedback loop and a return. And if there is, you throw more money at it. If you don't, you'll kill it. But you're right. Like they're going to make money off of this. They're going to make a lot of money off of this. They're not going to mess it up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. I wonder what the value of like home service advertising is.
Big industry.
It's a big industry.
It's
it's just so ridiculous.
Think of LSA, right? There's only so many categories that they actually.
I'm sure that's publicly reported.
Yeah.
Like what the revenue on that product is. Are you Googling it?
Because you can be. I mean, like if you're
because like let's just say ad spend is 10% of like total market size, which I thought the market size. I mean, I don't want to overstate it and sound ridiculous, but I remember it being like fucking crazy.
Of Google's like market of their revenue share or what?
Like the size of the home service market in general. Like how much revenue is driven through home service and home repair?
Hold on. We're using ChatGPT right now.
Oh, damn.
Marketing services. Okay, so it looks like the home service industry is a $700 billion little small industry.
Yeah. So 70 billion ish, 80 billion of advertising spend. And that like the vast majority of that is going to be digital.
Yeah.
Wild.
Like that's crazy. That's freaking crazy.
Good business.
To me, like, great business owned. I think be flexible and I think, get ready to spend. And if you're large enough, focus on brand because brand is sort of like a new moat. It's kind of interesting.
Yep.
Whereas like for the past 5 years, and I advocate ignoring it too until you're a certain size, but for the past few years, it hasn't had to matter because cost per lead has been so low. Like $80 leads are like, that's cheap.
Yeah.
So, but like brand is now suddenly a thing again.
Yeah.
Totally.
This was great. Before we end, I want to do a couple quick hits.
Okay.
Hit us.
I'm a small American plumber. just a plumber from Akron.
Just a plumber.
And I'm thinking about bringing on a vendor. What should I be looking for?
One that you can afford.
Marketing partner.
Start there. One that you can afford. Good price. And so what I mean by that is don't spend too much, don't spend too little.
Off camera, I'll say it so you guys don't get in trouble. But what, local IQ or?
Yeah, local IQ.
Local IQ.
I think it was local
They
IQ.
were charging someone 37% ad spend.
Yeah,
we audited that account.
That insane. Wow. And then I know Scorpion for us. I don't remember. I don't remember what it was, but
I think average when you think of percentage of ad spend, it'll be somewhere from low end would be like 15 from what we see, and high end will be in 30 and maybe more.
Well, I actually think our LSAs were what was 10 with Scorpion, and our PPC I think was 20.
Yeah. Well, and that's like one thing. It kind of goes into like what do I look for in a vendor, or like even maybe red flags. But we're just big on like incentives and being aligned. What is it? Charlie Munger, like, show me the incentives, I'll show you the outcome.
That was my story with Scorpion. It's what pissed me off so much is because they commissioned my LSAs at a lower dollar. They refused to allocate budget to it because they got 20% on PPC, but they got 10% on LSA. So 3 years ago or 4 years ago, when we were still working with them, they couldn't figure out how to spend $200 a week on our LSAs. $200 a week. I spend 15 now. Like zero issue. And we turn it off. Like we could spend more. Yeah. And they just, I mean, now looking back, once we switched and we understood what their like structure was, we're like, oh, you just didn't, because it was 10% here and 20% here. Yeah. That is bullshit.
Yeah. And so, and there's kind of like two levels of incentives to look for. It's like on a company level. So like an easy example is ad spend, right? We don't charge a percentage of ad spend. That's somehow the industry norm, but it never really made sense to us because you want us to spend your budget in the best possible way. Mm-hmm. And we would grow our revenue if we constantly got you to spend more money. And so the question then is not, how can we get John's cost as good as possible? It's how can we keep John's cost just good enough that we can ask for more and spend. Yeah. And so that's like a company level, but that usually trickles down even into like the account manager. The typical role of an account manager is they're a generalist. And so they're like, they don't actually know pay-per-click or LSA or SEO or website. They're just kind of like a salesperson, customer relationship manager. A lot of times their bonus is tied to the total revenue they grow. So that does two things. Yeah. It incentivizes them to try and get you to spend more on ads. And then also, when you think you're getting a better deal because you have a smaller budget, so, hey, I'll pay a percent, and so my fee will be lower. Well, you represent much less of their total goal, so you get less attention. And so we always try and think, like, we try and reverse engineer, like, okay, if John knew how to run a PPC account or how to build an SEO campaign, what would he optimize for and what would he think about? And then we try and actually, like, pay our people based on that. Yeah. So the happier the client is and the more aligned with the strategy our account managers are, the better they get paid, the happier you are. And then hopefully for us, we're like, that's just going to keep a long-term relationship. And we even we removed that generalist account manager role. Like if you work with an account manager with us and you're doing PPC, you're working with someone who is working in your pay-per-click account that morning, that actually sets a strategy, that actually knows how to talk about what your results have been. So when you get on a call and you go, hey, what's the deal with this? It's not, well, let me go email someone on the team. We'll get back to you. It's, well, let me pull up your account because I actually saw that this morning too. And so what we found is like, we have certain metrics and requirements of how often an account manager has to do certain things and check certain things and whatnot. But they usually end up doing more than that just because they want to make more money and their pay is tied to the results you actually care about. Yeah. Not vanity metrics, not just we got you a bunch of clicks and impressions, but your revenue was produced and here's your return and your cost per lead looks like, and so on and so forth. So a big one is definitely incentives. Another big one, I think you've talked about it before, but ownership. Whether I think the most common thing that we'll see people get surprised by is when they don't own their website. And so that
was a big shock.
It's always a painful conversation.
Well, and it's like you pay someone to build your website and then
$28,000 for us.
Jeez.
And then you pay them to do SEO work on that site for years.
Yep.
And then you want to make the decision that actually the results or whatever you've given us have been great. The relationship's not good. We want to leave. Well, not only do you not own your website, everything you've paid for multiple thousands of dollars a month goes down the drain. And so do you own your website?
Chrome does have a look back machine.
That's true.
So I say if they fuck you, you fuck them back. So that's what we did.
Yeah.
So we actually hired a VA to replicate the site in 24 hours, and we copied the entire fucking
Which
thing.
we help a lot of people do that as well. Like really common for us to build those sites and keep the traffic and the SEO intact.
Yeah.
But even like a lot of people don't own their own ads accounts. And that's a big problem for two reasons. There's no transparency. So you're relying on second party data for all your metrics, but also like you can't even go in and see if there's any activity in there and how well they're doing. Yeah. Like we do free audits a lot of the time for PPC accounts. And I go, hey, can we audit your account? Well, how would I get that access? Well, now you don't even know how well it's going. And then on the flip side, all the data that you build up over time in that account that's actually useful, you don't get if you ever switch.
Yeah.
And so I'm always honest with people. I'm like, if you don't own your account, you're going to go through a little period where like we don't have a ton to work off of. So we're kind of, we're having to backtrack a little bit.
Yeah.
So I always tell people like, if you work with us, we'd love it. If not, just make sure you own everything.
Yeah, own
like
your stuff.
Reread your contract 3 times. Make sure that everything that's produced is yours and you have the keys and can go with it. So incentives and ownership are like the 2 big things.
Those are good ones. Final one for you. What are some trends that we're seeing right now in marketing? Doesn't have to be Google. It's even better if it's not, that are exciting. What are we seeing? What do we like?
I think the thing you mentioned about brand becoming a moat again is good because that's one of the few things that will, that's less
work
up
through
in the air.
Uncertainty.
Yes, exactly. Less up in the air. There's some people doing cool things. That's almost a little more like guerrilla marketing on the organic side with like platforms like Facebook groups and Nextdoor that have been really cool because it's a little bit of local brand building.
Yeah.
As well as
we have a play on that. We haven't talked about it publicly. But we're like 60 days into it, and it's really interesting.
That's amazing.
Well, even
we launched like a local brand when the camera's off. Yeah, I'll tell you about it.
Well, even I actually connected with one of the marketing guys at Brown Roofing.
And
I know you had the CEO on a couple weeks ago. Cool. But his marketing guy said, he's like, my job is to make our owner and our name locally famous in every market we're in. Yeah. And
that's awesome.
And he has talked about it before, but he's like, I have 37 lead channels because it's like not just paid, but it's like, you know, Nextdoor, Yelp, Facebook group, Facebook page, like all these things. And they're just, they have built a brand around their owner and around their, name and slogan in non-traditional ways. So I do think there's this like cool opportunity for arbitrage to just think outside the box. And really, I always tell people that are, like we're doing this Breaking 5 workshop. So like you're still smaller. You feel like that's a disadvantage. But a lot of times it's like, that's the time you can do the things that don't scale. Yeah. Right. Like there's a guy.
I mean, if you're competing against, we've talked about it here, but like if you're competing against a bunch of companies that are like under 30, under 50, I know this sounds shocking, but a lot of companies north of 20, north of 30 are still very unsophisticated businesses. Yeah. Like they don't actually know what the fuck they're doing. I would say that we still don't know what the fuck we're doing. And we're learning every day. Yeah. But I feel when I look around some of our peers, like same size, I'm like, holy shit, we're miles ahead of this company. Yeah. And they've been at 30 million way before us. Yeah. So yeah, I do think at 5 million, you can meaningfully compete if you're scrappier.
Yeah. Well, and there's actually a friend of yours who we're working with now, but he told me he eventually hit a point where he couldn't do it, but for a long time, him and his wife delivered cookies every month to every new customer they got.
Yeah.
And he was like,
yeah, I can't do that.
Yeah. Well, and he's like, I actually noticed I tracked our retention rate dropped significantly once I got to the point where I couldn't do that anymore. But the people we did, they're customers forever. Right. And so
there's actually like a good idea. I wonder if I could do that.
There's
because we bring on like, there is
automate a lot of that
There
stuff.
is a size where like and we're just crossing into it where like dumb shit starts to make sense again. But like at $20 million, you actually don't have that much resources. I know it sounds like a lot of money, but like you
still have a lot of costs
really don't. You really don't. And like the team is still too small to like waste a role and waste payroll on the cookie delivery guy. Like it's just too complicated.
There's a car dealership.
Cookie delivery guy.
I'll tell you offline. There's actually a company that does this for.
No, we've looked into it.
I think they're pretty expensive though.
Yeah.
But in Texas, there's a group of car dealerships called Sewell, and their like tagline is customers for life. And the guy who started Sewell actually wrote a book about that.
Yeah.
And it's crazy because they charge more than other people. They don't negotiate on price, but their attention to detail and service and really that customer for life allows them to charge those premiums. And like, I am usually someone who will always go to the best price on anything. I go and buy from Sewell anytime I need to buy a car or have anything done on my car because of their honesty, the quality of their work, and then their brand. And really, I mean, that's in my head. Customer, like they are great at that. So, and that started a long time ago.
Yeah.
But they have somehow scaled. It's almost like Chick-fil-A, right? They've somehow gone to a scale where they still have that value run through every single person who works there. And they just slam that so hard that even some of the things that they don't do anymore, that they can't do anymore because they don't scale, like the spirit of that is still in everything they do as they go. And so I just think of that, and it's the same thing. Like if I have a plumber who comes and is, does a great job and is thorough, like I'm willing to pay more, and I'm never going to forget that person. Like I'm going to call them every time. I love when I have someone I can do that for. So, so it's some of those things that you do when you start small that maybe the exact action doesn't scale the same, but like, what are the things that initially don't scale that you can keep the spirit of as you go? I think is a big, leg up. Just it's maybe a little less marketing, but I think at the end of the day, like lead retention and customer retention is kind of part of marketing problem too. Yeah, it solves a lot of lead problem too.
Yeah. You have any?
Is that it all?
Sweet. This was a lot of fun, guys. I appreciate you coming on, helping break in the new studio.
It's great. I like it.
I don't know how many episodes I get to still call it a new studio, but I'm on number 3 and I'm still calling it that. This was awesome. If people want to connect, where can they find you?
I'm on X. I'm on LinkedIn. Servicescalers.com.
Yep.
Oh, yeah, right there. So guys, you want to connect? I'm on X. I'm on LinkedIn. Servicescalers.com.
Slide into your
My
DMs.
cell phone number is 46. I'm just kidding.
Awesome.
Yeah. Same for me. X, LinkedIn. If you contact us at Service Scalers, we will probably have a conversation. So that's easy enough.
Sweet. Well, thanks for joining me. And everyone else, thanks for joining us too. If you like what you heard, check out ownedandoperated.com and make sure you subscribe so you can get more stuff exactly like this.